Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we read scripture, we find that rebellion is one of the things that God abhors the most. To have a rebellious spirit is very important to God. In 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 23, Samuel told King Saul, "For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and insubordination is as iniquity and idolatry." Clearly, the Lord takes rebellion and insubordination very, very seriously. And we can imagine why. If you think about it, that's really how Satan got to be where he is today, through rebelling against God. And any person who has a rebellious heart is really aligning their lives up with Satan. It's a very serious sin and leads to various serious sins. In Numbers 16, we have one of the most famous rebellions recorded in Scripture. We have Korah's rebellion. This is a time when Korah rose up against Moses and Aaron. Korah was challenging Aaron's priesthood, and this was motivated by selfish ambition. And by looking at this, or at the nature of this rebellion, it'll help us to better detect rebellion in ourselves, and then also help us to better avoid when other people are dragging us into rebellion. And this is very important because if you think about it, as believers, much of our lives are a call to submission. Much of our lives require submission in some way. The scriptures teaches the children to be submissive to their parents. In Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 1, we're told to be submissive to the governing authorities. Romans chapter 13 and verse 1. We're to submit even to one another. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 21. And then, of course, we're also called to submit to church leadership. And there's many other areas of our lives where we have to submit to others. We could also think about the workplace. We're told to submit to our masters, be submissive to our employees, we could say. And so pretty much, no matter where we're at in our lives, physically, we're in submission to someone. Someone has authority over us. No matter who we are, no matter where we're at, whatever we're doing, we're usually having to submit to some type of rules or governing principles that we have to live by. And so rebellion is something that can be very, very serious and very disruptive to our lives, can be very disruptive to the order that we have in society. It can be a very serious thing. And so we can analyze this rebellion by Korah and learn some things about rebellion and hopefully help us to avoid them. For one, we see that the nature of rebellion is that it oftentimes seeks company. That's what Korah did. It talks about there in chapter 16 and verse 1. It says, "Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, the sons of Reuben, took men, and they stood before Moses." And it goes on to say that 250 leaders of the congregation chosen in the assembly, men of renown, they also stood up against Moses and Aaron. And so Korah didn't just rebel and it become a personal thing between him and Moses and Aaron, but he took others with him. And that's typically what the rebellious spirit does. It grows. It might start in the heart of one person, but then that person incites other people to become rebellious. And before you know it, a huge company of people can become, insubordinate, rebellious against the authorities that are above them. But also, the nature of rebellion is that it tends to downplay the role of those in authority over them. We see this in the text today where Korah asks, so why do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? Like, who are you to exalt yourself? As though they themselves had exalted themselves. And Korah's forgetting that it was actually God who exalted them above the rest of the congregation. But, he's just questioning, why should you be above us? All of us are holy. How are you better than us? And whenever those types of thoughts starts to creep into our hearts or into the hearts of others, that's the beginning of rebellion. When authority is beginning to be questioned, when you start asking, why is that person have any authority over me? That's the rebellious spirit beginning to sprout. But then also, the rebellious spirit also exalts itself to those in authority, either equal to those in authority or above those in authority. In verse 30 says, they assembled together against Moses and Aaron and said to them, you have gone far enough, for all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is in their midst. So why do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? And so part of the rebellious spirit is not just bringing down those in authority down to a lower level, but exalting oneself up to the level of those in authority, or maybe even above those who are in authority. And again, whenever those thoughts or those ideas begin to creep up, you can rest assured that the spirit of rebellion is behind that. And so as we think about Korah's rebellion and the nature of rebellion as demonstrated through this rebellion that he and the company had there in the wilderness, we can see that rebellion usually seeks company, so it usually spreads. It downplays the role of those in authority and exalts itself to those who are in a role of authority. And if we ever see those things begin to happen, we can see that rebellion is taking root and that its destructive nature will take over and disrupt unity, disrupt the order in a particular group, whether it's a church or a society or a nation, and it will end up having destructive ends as we see as we continue to read the story. Now, one little note before we close, and that is that what we're talking about here is illegitimate rebellion. I want to be clear about this. This is rebellion that's based on self-ambition, self-seeking type of rebellion that just is rebelling for the sake of rebelling, or for a number of other reasons that are not legitimate. There are times when we are to rebel, in the sense that whenever the governing authorities, the people who are over us, are pressuring us to act in an immoral way, or to somehow deny God or deny Christ or something like that, of course then that would be called legitimate rebellion, in which we are right in standing up against that and holding fast to our morals and holding fast to our faith in God, but still doing it in a respectful way and doing it in a way that doesn't really show the heart of rebellion like Korah did. We still respectfully and peaceably refuse to listen to authority when it's in contradiction to God's authority. But again, what we're talking about here is that of just illegitimate rebellion, selfish rebellion, such as what we find with Korah. So if ever we see these things happening, when we see rebellion beginning to grow, we see it downplaying the role of authority and the people above us, when it exalts itself to those who are in authority, that's when a red flag should come up, and we should begin to question our motives, maybe question the motives of others who might be falling into this, and be warned, and to want to stay away from that so that we don't have those destructive consequences that often come from this type of attitude and this type of action. So here's some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.